Hello, 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 and welcome to our next episode of Nothing Zilch Nada. We have our hosts, Xavier Dean, and
Jacob Green.
all right. So to continue with what we're doing, we're basically having shorter episodes. We'll start with one of us having a content that we're talking about, or a topic we're talking about, and then if we have time, we'll move on to the next person. Since last week, I was the one with the topic. We're gonna start off with Jake this week with his topic. So Jake, take it away.
Yeah, maybe just to start it off, I haven't sent it to you yet, but I have the intro completed. I
Okay.
just have some editing to do, but I will send it to you and uh hopefully it'll be up for this episode. But
Okay.
I'm kind of super stoked about it. I think it's a step up
Mm-hmm.
from the last one. But anyways, just wanted to say that. So I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, and I was reliving some nostalgia today from the early 2010s era.
Ooh.
Um, so, but why do you say it like that?
I don't know. Something about the early 2010s, middle school.
Well, I kind of feel you there, but growing up, I grew up with a whole bunch of different things, but one of the things I grew up with was Legos.
Hmm.
And still have them, and my nieces and nephews are still playing with them. Um, but I remember the very first, like, I subscribed to Lego Club, the Lego Club magazine I used to be.
Okay.
Uh, but that was when I was first exposed to like the different franchises. I mean, I knew that stuff like Star Wars and Harry Potter were getting stuff, but I was not aware of all the IPs that were first originated from Lego. And one of the first ones that I was exposed to and that I really got into was let me put it up and let me share my screen.
All right.
Uh, there we go. This one.
Oh, I remember Hero Factory.
Yeah, so I want to explain the history of this franchise a little bit because it's not particularly long, although I have some nostalgia for it. Um, and maybe just to start it off a little bit. So, Hero Factory, as some of you might know, uh, was created by the makers of Bionicle. And it was like, man, I should have brought up like some of the containers, but because I kept some of those older containers from like the first three waves. But um yeah, it started off as a sequel to Bionicle, not like official sequel, but uh kind of something that they started to do after they ended that first um wave, not wave, but like first uh cycle of Bionicle, which started from like 2001 and went up to like 2010. And it kind of ended right there. And Hero Factory was meant to be like I guess you could say spiritual successor to it, but it's kind of different. So to start this off, I I am having a hard time navigating through the screens.
Hmm.
This can I move this taskbar down?
Taskbar. What taskbar are you talking about?
And hang on. Let's see. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a
Okay.
sec. And I am just gonna move this around. I kind of prepared this one a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
all right, there we go. So just to start this off a little bit, um, why is it on the reviews page? Let's go here. There we go. So Hero Factory was meant to be like, as I said, a spiritual successor to Bionicle, but with a different vision in mind. Because like Bionicle, as you probably would know, was more story centric, much more character focused, and it was the big appeal to the line. It was also a very big flaw with the line because Bionicle had very character specific elements to its parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have specific parts that was meant to be used as an arm and a foot. So like, the big appeal of Lego was like, sure, you could build a specific set, but you could build your own thing. In Bionicle, it was kind of tough to do that. And you
Right.
had a character specific part. So Hero Factory was meant to be something that you could create your own heroes with. There was just one problem, and that this first wave of toys did not embody this philosophy at all. Now, this wasn't a big appeal for me at the time, and I did not grow up with my Bionicle. My brother did, but I did not like Bionicle at the time. So when I first saw Hero Factory, I was like, "Oh man, this is so cool!" And I thought it was better than Bionicle at the time, but I'll get more into that later. But yeah, this is the first wave of heroes. And this was pretty good deal too. I think they were like $8 or $9 per hero.
I think that was what it was.
Yeah. But also one of the reasons it took a while because I went through old Lego bins just so that way I could put together some of these heroes together. So this was the first one I bought in
Ah.
2011. So this line started in 2010, but I didn't buy the first one until 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly the set here, but this is Stormer. Oh yeah, I just realized that they don't have the character names on there. So the first wave of 6 heroes. So you had the rookies. This is Furno and Breeze and Surge. Surge was kind of my favorite just because of the blue and the electricity.
Mhm.
And then you had the veterans or the leaders per se. So you got Bulk, got Streaner, and you got Stormer. He was always my favorite just because he was the leader. But I also thought he looked uh, cooler, fun, unintended. But
Mhm.
yeah, just the white and the blue was very appealing to me. But the villain sets, I never got these, but the villain sets were pretty cool. Um,
All right.
I think the coolest ones to me were like Corroder. He was
Mhm.
supposed to be like a toxic villain.
Mm.
I'm just kind of breezing through these, but oh, let's see. I think this one was like Nitro Blast. I think that was his name, but like those toxic tanks right there, that was always a cool appeal. And then there was Von Nebula. I don't know why they didn't have a figure portrait for him, but that's the box. So the heroes actually came in these like canisters, much like Bionicle. And I kept all these canisters because like they're more substantial than a cardboard box. And it was cool play pieces too, I always pretended like, oh, this was like their little hero pod that they would come in, or like, oh, these were like city buildings that you could build and tear apart, you know like they weren't like buildable per se, but like they were pretty cool. They were pretty cool props for what they were. Uh oh, and this is a very bad photo of the Furno bike. Um they had like a few vehicle props. Um that's the jetpack, and that's just the further sets. So this first wave of Hero Factory, um They were cool because they came in like all these coordinated colors. They kind of had this personality to them. They released in the summer of 2010, and they were pretty cheap too. You could buy these like pretty easily. Um, and they came with this TV show that I watched at the time. The first wave came way like it wasn't like an extensive like season or anything, not like Ninjago. Um, Another one that I will talk about some other time, but um, it was a shorter series, but it was pretty cool. You know, it was a pretty cool series, and the heroes had personalities and missions. Uh, the first, the four episodes were called Rise of the Rookies, you know, mainly centering on Furno, but it was just about them taking out bad guys. You know, it was kind of this thing where it's just like, the heroes are built in this factory. Actually, I never talked about the premise. I'm just kind of coasting along now, but basically the whole premise of Hero Factory, unlike Bionicle, because Bionicle was again more character centric, you know, they were more organic, something that you couldn't see in the set. But Hero Factory, it was all robots, and they're built in a factory, and they have these like cores that power them up, and they fight bad guys, and that's it. You know, and the commercials kind of reflected it. It was kind of fun. Again, more hero villain centric, so kind of like Marvel or DC, but with robots. And in fact, they had these like short comic series at the time that were actually made. Well, I don't know if they were made, but they were published by DC. I remember them.
Huh?
And they looked pretty good. In fact, I wish I could show them right now. Maybe we'll get to them if we have time. But all in all, to say that the first wave of the biggest flaw with these sets, at least when it comes to the heroes, is like for something that's supposed to have the intention of like, oh, you could build these heroes however you like. Yeah, these first wave doesn't really do that for you. And also, there's limited posability in these parts, and also these socket joints. So when I rebuild some of these heroes, some of these socket joints are broken, which was a big problem with some of the later waves of Bionicle. These socket joints break pretty easily, and the head joints too, attaching some of the helmets, like, yeah, not great. So, uh, decent start to the line, could use some improvements, and improve they did with, let me see, why is it summer 2011? Oh, it started in winter 2010, I think. That's a bit unusual.
Mm.
It is taking me to heights unknown. Let's let us no. I don't want that. I want winter 2010. Let me actually, this will be easier instead. There we go. So winter 2010, I think this is where it started, but like I think they started really heavily advertising it in the early winter of 2011, the beginning of the year. But although they started teasing it around 2010, late 2010. But yeah, this is Ordeal of Fire, as it was called. But this is so there was one episode of the Hero Factory show released, also titled Ordeal of Fire, and it basically showed that like, oh, these heroes have to deal with these fire villains, you know, and there's only four fire villains, but you know, they're bigger and stronger and their weapons are useless. Um, and these are really cool fire villain sets, especially Fire Lord with this like fire jetpack and fire blaster, just really great. Um,
All right.
yeah, but and I actually have a 2.0 set that I got back in the day. This is Surge, new and improved Surge. So
Okay.
basically, we have these new heroes now. uh well, not new heroes. They kind of got revamped, some of them. So got Stormer, new and improved Stormer, Breeze, Surge, Inferno. I kind of like Inferno a little bit. I actually think all of them look pretty good. But then you got two new ones, Nex and Evo. So I think they're more appealing colors compared to like Streaner and Bulk. Streaner and Bulk were silver and black. Evo and Nex were yellow and orange. I kind of like Nex a little bit. The orange and green is a pretty cool color scheme, and I'm not usually an orange type of guy.
All right.
And it's mostly been me talking, so I don't know what you think about this so far.
So far, so far, I'm just learning. I I used to have a couple Hero Factory sets, but they weren't until like the ones I ended up getting weren't until later on. So I
Hmm.
won't to talk about those until we get to there.
Yeah. So the big appeal of these sets now, this was a big upgrade. Um, in a lot of ways, like not just for Hero Factory, but for Lego in general. So as you could see, and I'll kind of demonstrate this a little bit. Um, these figures have more flexibility now. You can kind of move them like all over the place with the joints and um, better arm action, better leg action. The weapon builds were better, but like you could customize your own heroes better. In fact, there was something in Lego at the time that I actually did. It was called the Hero Recon Team, where you could actually build your own hero in like this virtual factory and you could have it delivered to you.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh
in
wow.
fact, I probably still have the box for it. The box was cool. It was like this green, and black and silver hue. Like it was pretty cool stuff at the time. Um, the only thing that I probably dislike about these heroes now is just their headgear. You know, I like the older helmets better because you could kind of tell their personalities a little bit. There's something about masks and helmets tell you about character's personality, and these are just kind of samey. I mean, they have different protector gear, I would say, for the heads, but these top parts are the same. But they're still pretty cool. And
Hmm.
then the summer of 2011, uh, you got the 2.0 sets. These are 3.0 sets. So this is the Savage Planet line. So rather than fighting villains, you're fighting animals. Although these animals are controlled by, let me see if I can find him. Oh man, I have to scroll down a bit. This guy, Witch Doctor. I think he was kind of like this. He used to work at the Hero Factory, and then he got kicked out for transplanting a quasicore on him or something. By the way, the
How
plot for
kicked
Hero
out for
Factory.
that?
The plot for Hero Factory is like not as deep.
Uh,
Well, except for one case, but it's not as deep as Bionicle. But again, the big appeal was just like heroes versus villains. That was the big appeal for Hero Factory. But Witch Doctor was a pretty cool build. Like his skull staff that he used to control it. Basically, the whole premise was like he wants all the Quaza.
hmm.
And um
What is Quaza?
Quaza is like what powers the hero's cores. So like these cores that you see in all the heroes, it's more than just a sign, It basically it's what powers them. It's their heartbeat. Gives
Uh,
them their personalities per se. Um, but yeah, some of these animals are cool, like the scorpion, this dog, this gorilla, the wasp. I remember having the wasp. That one is pretty cool. The hero builds are okay. Basically they're imbued with some animal type powers now. So you got Bulk, who's a wolf now. Streeter is a bear. Stormer, I had him. He's a rhino. Streeter, I also had. Um,
mhm.
Actually, I have Nex, and I have a small story for Nex. So in 2011, I was in a hospital, not for like life-threatening reasons, but probably something I'll share.
He lost his brain. That's what it was.
Yes, I lost my brain. But
Unfortunately, I was the one who had to find
I
it.
remember I remember at St. Francis Children's Hospital that they gave us some Lego sets, and I remember one of the ones that they gave me was this next one where he's a tiger, and I just remember building it, you know. I have all these other ones like Furno, who's a I remember the Lego just getting confused because the show said, "Oh, he's got the power of the eagle," but then Lego in the comics, it's like, "Oh, he's got the power of a hawk." Which one is it? Also, the wings being jet boosters is kind of cool.
Okay,
Um,
mm, I'm gonna quickly stop.
yeah,
So I just learned this about eagles and hawks. So you know the eagle cry you get from television?
yeah.
Yeah, the iconic sound. Yeah, no, that's the sound of a hawk, not an eagle.
That's kind of cool. Um,
Yeah, but it's
Also,
disappointing once you hear what a hawk sound, or not a hawk, what an eagle sounds like, because it makes all these different chirps. It doesn't make
yeah.
that scream. I don't know. That
Hmm.
was just so in my mind when you mentioned that that one hero, there was a little confusion between eagle and hawk. You know, that just connected.
Actually, you know what? That was the sound clip that they would use because, like, I
Mhm.
remember when they were in the factory and they were in the show, they were imbuing the heroes with like these animal powers, not like metaphysical powers. It's just like, oh, let's put the gear of a tiger and lion, which is kind of the reason why I think these sets are okay. It's basically 2.0
It's
sets.
basically like
But
Hercules putting the lion's cloak on.
yeah, I guess so. But yeah, it's just different helmets. I like these armor pieces. Let me go back to 2.0 for a sec. So like they have these armor pieces that say like Surge 2.0, Stormer 2.0. They were kind of cool. 3.0 does the same thing, but I kind of like these better because it's a different color. It's green and it has their animal insignia and it says like Stormer 3.0 on it and such. Um, but yeah, they're just okay. They're just 2.0 sets, but a bit better. Um, but this new character, Raka, he's another rookie. Um,
Mhm.
and he actually gets supercharged in these episodes with this XL. I actually have this one, Raka XL.
Oh,
Um, Very big build. Basically, it was meant to like take on Witch Doctor. Um,
okay.
Yeah, and the comics for it still made by DC, and the episodes which came in two parts, the Savage Planet arc, that was a pretty cool arc. It had some slight world building in it, although at the end of the day, it was just kind of whatever. But 2011 was a cool period for Lego too, because that's when Ninjago was introduced. Lego City
Mm.
was getting more traction. Uh, Among other things, I think Lego Universe, the game, was still running. But there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on. 2011 was a pretty nostalgic era, and so was the next year, which I think is the best year for Hero Factory. Oh, this is promotional material. Maybe does it show the box? Oh yeah, this is the boxes that waves 1, 2, and 3 came with the heroes.
Mhm.
This is the 2.0 version, but like this is a really cool box. Like plastic container. They don't make this stuff like they used to.
No, they don't.
Also, this is the comic cover that I was talking about. You can see the old DC
Hmm.
uh logo on it. I kind of like this art style better than in the show. The show was just kind of CGI, but this is pretty cool. Pretty cool art. But 2012 though, whoo, 2012. That's just why is it not getting to the? one that I want. Um, Let me scroll down. I might have to
Well, no, it was there.
the
Well,
breakout. Well, I'm looking for the next year.
well, is it
Let's.
not?
Oh,
That
oh, wait. There it is. Why is it not showing the photos though? That's weird. Maybe if I click on it.
then goes
'Cause
to.
I like to I like to tackle these in one go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh, let's see. Uh, Maybe I could just talk about 2012 for a little bit. So 2012 actually started in late 2011. They were teasing like the next wave of Hero Factory.
Mm-hmm.
Although I would like to say that it was like more the next year of Hero Factory because like each wave was focusing on like a different story, but starting in 2012, uh it was going to be they were going to be focusing on a new story in just 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I want hmm, I want to be able to get to the actual story that I well, not the story, but this is not hmm. Sorry this is taking forever, but
Hey, no worries.
yeah, I just hope my time is not wasted on this. But although I guess I could show you one of the breakout sets. This is Streaner. He actually came out in Wave 2. That was a big difference in 2012 was like rather than having all the heroes and all the villains come out in one wave, they would get split into two parts. Especially with the current roster of heroes at that point was nine, and they stuck to nine for the remainder of Hero Factory's not like Hero Factory's well if Hero Factory's period, I
Right.
would say. I'm actually going to stop sharing this at one point,
Okay.
uh, just so that way I can show the breakout sets
All right.
properly.
So while
Um,
you're doing that, that way there's not empty space. I will give a little update on the logo,
mhm.
which is one of our viewers who happens to be my cousin. She's going to be working on our new logo.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yep. So she's currently working on that. I'm still trying to gather everything I can to send to her for inspiration. But once that gets, or once she has a general idea, I will then show it to you, and then we will incorporate that as well as your new intro to uh to our podcast.
Definitely. Okay. These are the best images I could find. Not exactly what I wanted, but they will work. I basically had to go to Wikipedia instead of Heropedia to get
Mm,
better images. But uh yeah, this is the next wave of sets. And this is my one of my favorite waves of Hero. Actually, the this one and the next one. So I'll say the next one of the disappointing things about the heroes and the villains is that they come in these plastic Ziploc bags now,
hmm
which are not as substantial as a uh those plastic containers that they used to come up with. And I get the reason why these hero builds are much bigger now, but or at least some of them are, but I kind of like the plastic boxes though. But
hmm
oh man, the next year of Heroes, this was. top of the line because basically the story was like this big breakout in the prison, and the breakout episodes were split into two parts. But like, you know, there's this big breakout that's caused by a black hole, and because of that, all the villains escape. And it actually is a pretty cool story because it ends up being a cover for the main villain, where like all the heroes leave the factory except for one to go on their missions, which leaves the factory defenseless against any threats that would come by. And yet there's a threat that comes by. It's this guy named Black Phantom who steals the plans for Hero Factory and then sends it to another villain.
Hmm.
And it's basically a story setup that never gets paid off. But I digress.
Oh.
Um, but these sets are cool. Black Phantom, this is like the best villain sets out there by far. His black mace, this little spider contraction that he has, uh, these like points on his back. They're just really cool. But the hero builds are really great too. Raka was kind of like the main advertising feature with his energetic shield and his crossbow gun. Like basically the heroes this time were built in a way to combat each villain. So Raka is just kind of a standard. Evo, he was going against a toxic villain, so he's got this uh iron arm and well tank arm and tank boots
Mm-hmm.
to combat toxic. This is Jawblade. This was Furno's villain to capture, kind of underwater. Let me see if I. Oh man, this stuff is very out of order. Um, I do like how they show the environments though. So Furno is wearing like this hydro pack to go underwater, and that's really cool. Um, Streiner, this is another one that I had, goes against this electric guy. I don't remember his name. Voltix, I think it is. Um, Thorax was a bug. The villains were creative this time. Uh, Breeze has like these flying boots. Um, Bulk was one that I had. Bulk's shoulder cannon was really cool. And they had these like I have them here, these handcuffs too to capture the villains with.
All right.
Oh, Core Hunter. This was so disappointing because they didn't show some villains and heroes in the show, and he was one of them.
Oh.
Core Hunter was such a cool villain because he's a bounty hunter and he rips out other heroes' cores for money.
Okay.
And that's sad. And he never became a villain. Zilch was one that I had with he's in space. Um,
Hmm.
but like these are just really cool to have at that time.
Oh.
Um, and 2012 ended up being a pretty good year uh for Hero Factory. They're not showing Stormer XL or Speed of Demon, which is kind of disappointing considering that those were the two big sets. Stormer XL was like the big hero for that year. They kind of had this thing after Savage Planet with Raka to make one big hero set, the
Mm.
XL version of that hero. Stormer was one of them, but then he was going across Speed of Demon, who was a villain with a motorbike, and his motorbike was just built excellent. But then we get to 2013, which is Brain Attack. And
I feel, I feel
this
like
was
that one was the one I had. I had a
yeah,
couple.
this was also a pretty good line. I kind of go back and forth between Breakout and Brain Attack for what year is better. It kind of depends on what mood I'm in that day. But the builds are still pretty good. Inferno XL is I've had this one. His Fire Shield and Fire Sword. This time they were combating evil brains that would control these creatures. Let me
Mm-hmm.
see if I can find one of them. So this is a little brain that it's detachable, so it comes on and off,
Mm.
and it just looks really cool. These villains separately, they're not that great, but when you put them all together, like different ones together, they really bring out the best in each other with their colored brains. Um, let's see, Raka was another one that I had. All of them had like some sort of sword or shield or spear for this year. And these visors were really cool. And they come flip on and off. That's a scorpion right there.
Hey,
Uh,
Jake, just to give you a heads up, there's 5 minutes left on this recording.
shoot. Okay. This took a little bit longer than I thought, but I also was oh, Dragon Bolt, the dragon, he's really cool.
Hmm.
Surge was another cool one.
Yep. So I had Surge, and I had uh the other one, Stormer, I think.
Yeah, I had Stormer too. This was a really cool one though. This was basically Raka's like jetpack.
Hmm.
And the jetpack was such a cool build. But then 2014, which was the last year of Hero Factory, was a downfall. I don't know if you were ever aware of these sets. I've only got
Oh,
a couple of these.
I had two. I had two of the big, like beasts
Yeah.
for that.
So I did not like these as much at the time, even though I had them. Looking back, I think they're okay. The fact that they're like mechs and like you had these little tiny hero pilots
Hmm.
is really cool. Although the episode that came with these was kind of weak, it just became more standard hero fare at this point. Um,
All right.
and the plot was just not that interesting. It just proved that like Lego was just slowly dissolving Hero Factory, and they were just creating new plot lines out of nowhere and not resolving any of them.
Hmm.
But these hero mechs are cool. They are. By this point, though, your Hero Factory set was just becoming more and more like a glorified parts pack than ever before. And like I know the whole point is like customizing options, but you lose identity when doing that. But this was just a good thing for Lego to do. And Bionicle actually came back with this for a bit, for like 2 years.
Okay.
It did not pan out very well, unfortunately. But
Uh,
let me go to like, oh, this was a cool build right here. This giant build. This is detachable for the record.
yeah.
And oh, these are just like combiner builds for some
Oh, so he
reason.
didn't have the big, it's like the mother beast or something like that.
Yeah, they did.
Well,
Um,
well, I mean, it's the pictures. I know they had that because that was
oh
the
yeah,
big
yeah,
one I had.
they have the mother beast. I'll show you.
Oh,
There
there
you
it
go.
is.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty cool set.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, and this was the box I was talking about, this Hero Recon Team box. It just looks really cool. Anyways, um, went a little bit longer than expected, but I just kind of wanted to talk about, I just wanted to share a property that I absolutely cherish. I don't know what thoughts you have about it.
Um, so I grew up on Legos. Hero Factory wasn't one of the big Legos that I got. Mine was more like the Star Wars Legos and the Marvel Legos. But like I said, I had a few of the later Hero Factory sets, and I thought they were pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about Hero Factory and like other Lego products, I highly recommend you check on the channel on YouTube, Nick on Planet Ripple, and his Lego Rewind retrospectives. He has a really good retrospective on Hero Factory, and they're pretty short too. Minus the Bionicle one, which is like over an hour long. But it's a really good one. And you should definitely check his content out.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I would say that is all for this week. Next week, I will start off with a brand new topic. But besides that, my name is Xavier Dean.
And I'm Jacob Green.
All right, and we will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day and enjoy.